How's everyone doing? Good morning. Oh, it's a beautiful day to be cute and gay. I always like saying that in the morning. Excuse me. Ooh, a little bit of a coffee burp. Let me stand up and stretch. How's everyone doing? Make sure to like the stream. I love all of you. Gotta stand up and do the stretchies. Ooh, y'all, today's live is gonna be good, okay? I've prepared a lot for today's live. I'm gonna be starting to do this thing where I do a lot more than one story, and I'm going to section why is my green screen like this? I'm gonna section the live stream so it's like in chunks so that it makes it easier to understand and easier to digest everything. So hello, how's everyone doing? Good morning. Love you, Scott. Yes, it is. It is a beautiful morning indeed. It is a gorgeous and beautiful and fantastic and incredible and outstanding morning. I'm really excited to debut this story because not only is it just like the karma content that I feel like people are looking for, but it also is a really good representative moment of how this moment really is for a lot of people. So I appreciate every single one of you. If you are new here, please make sure to say hello and where you're tuning in from. Also, ignore the very, very obvious red pimple right here. You know, it's wanting to tag along and I don't like it, okay? This pimple was not invited, all right? It's not paying rent and I'm not having it with this pimple, okay? So just ignore the red dot on my forehead, okay? It's, look, I be popping off, but this one's not. So anyway, I appreciate all of you. Good morning. If you are new here, make sure to say hello. We have someone from South Florida saying hello. Good morning, Cherie, Kate. Good morning, Reverend Potty Mouth. Good morning. I hate pimples that don't pay rent. The nerve. Yeah, I know, right? Whew. So, let me take a sip of my coffee, and then we will get into today's live stream, all right? All right, here we go. Good morning, beautiful people. Hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. Ooh, do we have a doozy to start off the day? Look, I already made a video about this, but I wanted to talk about it live because this moment is just, it's so emblematic of where we are in the country. And also, it's a really good metaphor, really good example of the absurdity of 2025, specifically within politics. So I saw this on Friday. This all happened on Friday. I'll give you some current updates about things that I saw this morning. But this all happened on Friday, okay? Newsmax host flips out after wet paint ruins his $12,000 jacket. Call the cops. For those people who may not be familiar, this is a guy named Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is a far right-wing propagandist on Newsmax. Newsmax is, and you can see right here, Newsmax is a lot like Fox News, but it's also like even further right than Fox News. Even if you can even imagine. So this guy is like your known propagandist. And on Friday, I guess he was out on the streets of New York just interviewing people, doing whatever business, I don't know. And he leaned let me just, this is the picture. Let me just get into his version of the story here, okay? He took to Instagram and posted this himself. Let me say that again. He posted this himself. Let me put up the caption, okay? Giant wet paint blob right on my beautiful jacket with 3 exclamation points. Some fool painted a light pole basically 5 minutes. Okay, why is there a weird like paragraph thing, whatever. 5 minutes ago on a weekday morning, oh dear, how dare the person paint something on a weekday morning, right? 5 minutes ago on a weekday morning and put the wet paint sign on the ground. Okay, now pause. You can see right here, there's the wet paint sign. I am not an expert by any means when it comes to public maintenance construction, but like, where else are they gonna put the dang sign? They can't put it on the pole because it's wet. I mean, I guess they could have done an arrow, but like, I don't know. It's just, where else? It's just, ugh. Anyway, he goes on and says, I was just chilling on the pole, leaning on it while waiting for the light to change. And when it turned green, I couldn't move because the paint was so sticky. Then I saw I had an even bigger problem than the paint blob on my own. A paint blob on my custom-made Brioni jacket with Hermes lining with solid gold buttons, and it's worth $12,000. Okay, does that look like $12,000 to you? Now, again, I'm not an expert when it comes to fashion, when it comes to suits, but like, does this jacket, this ugly jacket, look like $12,000 to you? Dude, I don't know about that. It's like, I couldn't move because the paint was so sticky and I had a bigger problem with the paint blob on my custom-made Brioni jacket and Hermes lining with solid gold button, and it's worth $12,000. Also, if you're enjoying the live, please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. And there's also a splotch on my Patek Philippe Nautilus watch. I'm not even going to say how much that costs. That's kind of obnoxious. You're already there by even just mentioning that you have this apparently super expensive watch. So if you're trying to avoid or not be obnoxious, sucks for you, but you already are. He then says, call the cops, refund, punitive damages. So I took this screenshot over the weekend. Maybe it was like Saturday morning when I read this story, or when I looked at this. This is 19 hours ago. It's still up, y'all. He posted this himself. It's still up. And so, like, I went to check this morning. I'm like, I wonder if he's gotten, because let me foreshadow the comments. Oh, he is getting roasted. Okay, someone better put some olive oil and some seasoning on it, because these people have been roasting him in his own comments. Anyway, but again, for those people who might just be scrolling in here, this is a guy who's a far right-wing propagandist on Newsmax, which is like even further right Fox News. And it's so funny, these like blue-collar conservatives that watch these far right-wing fringe news networks with people like this, when their own incompetence, their own actions lead to their own $12,000 jackets being ruined because they didn't bother to look around or acknowledge their surroundings. Like, yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna shed a tear. $12,000? $12,000 for one jacket, and you're like, oh, how dare they? How dare someone be doing their job and paint this light pole and put a sign on the ground, because where else are they going to put it? But I leaned up against it because I didn't happen to see it. How dare they do their job on a weekday morning? This is the kind of entitlement and tone-deaf kind of ignorance that really is just so telling of right-wing media. It really is so telling. And it gets even worse for him when we look at the comments here. So this person was like, I like you, Greg, but you should have seen that it was freshly painted. They made a little error, but okay. You should have seen it was freshly painted. No one ever cares about us construction guys. No reason to name call us just because you didn't notice. And then, I mean, that's so true. That's so true. Don't be blaming other people for your own actions. With all due respect, with such expensive items of clothing, why are you leaning on a light post to begin with? You must have had a lot of money to waste or just not care. You know, that's good points. Good points. $12K for that jacket? You're joking, right? First world problems button. And it has like the arrow to the like. So I was like, click, click. Also, if you're enjoying the live, please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. Just don't be obnoxious in the chat, okay? Don't be obnoxious in there. Going forward, Brioni and Patek, guest news pays well. And again, think of it, $12,000. $12,000 for one item of clothing. You, with your own incompetence and negligence, ruin it by leaning up against a painted light pole or light post that had a sign on the ground where you just didn't bother to actually look. Don't take to social media. Even if you do that, don't take to social media to complain in this day and age about how you are suffering the biggest plight of all. And the fact is, he even said, call the cops, refund, punitive damages. What kind of male Karen audacity is this? Really? Really? Look, I would be just as outraged. I would be making, if this was like someone on, in like CBS, ABC, or if this was even MSNBC, and it was, let's say that it was Joe Scarborough or Misa Brzezinski. Let's say that it's another person in more mainstream media that did this, and they took to social media to say this kind of crap. It's like, I'd be having the same criticisms. I'd be like, people can barely afford their rent these days. And you're out here complaining about a $12,000 jacket? It's not a good look, sweetie. It's really not a good look. Like, it just screams elitist. So, anyway, the comments continued here. Yeah, Brioni and Patek, guest news pays well. $12,000 for a sport coat? Wow, consider yourself lucky. Might have been homeless pee-pee. Ooh, you know, that is very true. People are starving worldwide because your dear leader, the incredibly accused rapist-in-chief, cut off food aid to needy people. Tons of food sits in warehouses rotting because no one knows where to send it. But let us feel bad for this Newsmax propaganda spreading, not going to say that word, who got his expensive jacket ruined. And when I saw this part of the comment, I was just laughing. When I assume power people who spend $12,000 on an effing jacket will be dragged naked through the streets by drag queens. That's a little rough. I don't know what this person said by the tiniest feet. I don't get that. I don't. Also, if you are attempting to get my attention in the chat, I literally have it hidden away. Just letting you know. And then, I mean, the comments, I was living for them. $12K for a jacket. If you can pay that, then you can pay for another. Just like it. And these three are really, really important here. I hope this post is a joke because $12K for a jacket means you are out of touch with Main Street. Could not have said it better myself. Again, even if this kind of thing does happen to you, yes, that sucks, okay? But don't take to social media where so many other people in this economy are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, now super worried about tariffs literally leading to skyrocketing prices. And we'll get to a segment on that later on. But like, it's so tone deaf to then complain about how your incompetence ruined your own jacket. But like, low-key, I'm living for the pettiness and like, and how people are responding to this moment. So, this person said someone needs to paint more stuff. I'm not gonna say that word. So this happens to you more often. And this is also incredibly important. Good. 12K is 9 months rent for me. I live in the cheapest apartments in my town. Yeah, just to put it in perspective, this guy is like, I paid $12,000 for this jacket. It's like, okay, yeah, and your own ignorance and incompetence ruined it, okay? But like, do you realize how much money that is to some people and how little it is to you? Again, if this was an MSNBC host, I would have the exact same criticisms. Why? Because it's elitist, no matter what. But also, notice why you don't really see this happen with mainstream media hosts. If it does, trust me, I'll be the first to call it out. But this shows how little, like how, for all these far right-wing blue-collar people that watch Newsmax or Fox, they are just as entitled, if not more entitled, wealthy, and privileged than the people you claim to condemn. Just facts are facts. Because, again, your own incompetence ruins your own jacket, and you have the audacity to scream into Instagram to say, call the cops, punitive damages refund? Girl, good God, girl, get a grip. Because $12,000 is a lot for someone who's working class like me. I guarantee $12,000 is a lot for many people here in this live stream. It's just so tone deaf. And, I mean, he was basically getting what he deserved in these comments here. And I have so many more. This person said, well, lying is a sin, so maybe this is a kind of punishment. You know, that's very fair. And I checked this morning at 7:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I checked, and the post is still there. Homie was roasted in his own comments, and yet he still has it posted. He still has it posted. I'm like, oh my God. And I checked this morning, and I found even more. Let's look at those. You just ruined a hardworking American's paint job. If you had a spine, maybe you wouldn't need to lean at the crosswalk. That's really, really rough. Your jacket alone could pay my rent for the year. So really, in a stupid move, you just squandered my entire year's worth of rent. And so it's a bad morning for you. Geez, sucks to be you. So are you waiting for sympathy? Sell your effing outfit and feed a family of 5 for a year. Or better yet, pay someone else's rent for a year. Pathetic that you would spend that money on one outfit. And again, does this look like $12,000 worth to you? Does that look $12,000 worth to you? I'm not any sort of fashion expert, but I don't even think it looks that good. I don't think it even looks that good. But again, just to maybe I guess it is super expensive because he talked about how expensive it was. He was like, my custom-made Brioni jacket with Hermes lining and solid gold buttons, and then goes on to say, and also there's a splotch on my Patek Philippe Nautilus watch. I'm not even going to say how much that costs. Kind of obnoxious. It was already obnoxious when you included it in the post, honey. It was already obnoxious. The fact that you said, oh, it's obnoxious for me to say that. It's like, oh God, it just, oh my goodness gracious. And I just can't. Let me get to some of these other comments and then we're going to shift topics here. It gets even worse. Sorry, Greg, about your coat, but between that and the watch, most of us are out here suffering from the past 4 years of Joe and Kamala and are lucky that we can pay rent. Maybe in the future, just tell us that your coat was ruined and leave it at that. Now, of course, I mean, this person's like blaming liberals for problems, but also is like, yeah, dude, you kind of like, you're kind of being tone deaf here. Even people who are conservative see that. And I give credit where credit is due. So there were also a lot of other people that also were like, yeah, absolutely. And so I think that kind of shows to some of these conservatives, like, yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page about calling out tone deafness. So maybe we can shift to actually critical thinking media instead of far right-wing propagandist media. Maria Bartiromo, a far right propagandist on Fox, was like, basically said, oh, what a nightmare, but why did you lean on the pole, dude? Come on, Greg. That stinks. Poor baby. I liked this one, though. I'm sorry that your coat ruined such a great paint job. I just loved that. I love that so much. This person said, you paid about $11,800 too much for the looks of that jacket. This is also telling. This person commented, I hope this post is a joke. I've always loved you, but this is just obnoxious. I'm going with your kidding because that's who you are. Heart, heart. This person literally said, I hope it's a joke, okay? I loved you, but this is obnoxious, all right? And then says, you know what? I'm just going to decide that you're joking. No, honey. You cannot decide what reality is. Reality is reality. Your interpretation is something maybe you can control, but like, you can't just then say, I'm going with your kidding, because that's who you are. This is where it gets into, again, these like MAGA people's postmodernist point of view, which is really dangerous because they take objective facts, science, statistics, data, and they say, oh, well, that doesn't go with what I want to be true. That doesn't go with my truth. That doesn't go with my truth. So I'm just going to say that it's fake news. That kind of stuff is dangerous. I'll give you an example. Climate change. Climate change, global warming, it's objectively happening. That's actually one of my degrees, is sustainable development and political science. I know a lot about the social ramifications of climate change, economics, politics, something that I studied in school. Climate change, the fact that it exists, is not up for debate. It's just an objective fact that the Earth is warming and has gone through glacial and interglacial periods. We are having bigger storms manifest out of the fact that we are putting more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which then basically creates a greenhouse effect, making our world hotter and hotter and hotter. I won't go into all the statistics and data and stuff. It's objectively happening. Now, your interpretation might be to, okay, well, it's happening. Why don't we try to solve it this way or this way or this way? What's so dangerous about these MAGA people's point of view is that they will look at that and say, oh, well, that's just not my truth. That's just not my truth. No. There's a difference between the truth and my truth or your truth. See, that's the thing. If this is what is so dangerous, is when MAGA far right-wing people take objective things and try to make it up for debate and say, my truth. What if I were to say, oh, my truth is that the climate is changing? You'd be like, that's stupid. Is it or is it not? Exactly. For me to say my truth. Now, there's a difference when it comes to that versus like your own conception of your own identity. That's different. That's different when it comes to how people identify or what they like or what they dislike. But like, you can't take something that is objectively happening outside of yourself and say that that is your truth. That's not how that works. So when I read this comment, I was like, oh my God. I'm going with your kidding because that's who you are. So they're projecting their version of their preferred version of him onto himself. Does that make sense? It shows the level of absolute cult brain rot that is out there. You spend all that money to look that bad. Oof. Sigh. So sorry that your day was ruined. Tell your story to the mamas that don't have money to feed their children. And this person said your jacket and watch are worth more than what a lot of people earn in a year. And you want sympathy? You are a prime example of how uncaring and out of touch Republicans are. And to really put it in perspective, like Brioni jacket, Hermes lining with skinny jeans, girl, please. Let me get to the comment. Yeah, a Patek Philippe Nautilus watch is about $100,000. Yeah, that's nearly as obnoxious as you in a $12,000 jacket. I love this for you. And just to really drive it home, 100,000 plus 12,000. He was literally, and I'm gonna say that he was also probably wearing some other nice things. Let's just have a conservative estimate of $130,000 for his outfit. Personally, I could not make, let me do the math here. That would be 3 years. That would be over 3 years of the amount of income. I would need to work for 3 years just to afford what he had on that one day, last Friday. I mean, and then take out taxes. It might even be 3.5. Like, that's how tone deaf these people are. That's how tone deaf they are. So I was happy to see a little bit of karma. I feel worse for the poll. Imagine being touched by this guy. So just to really drive it home, this is a perfect metaphor for this moment within American politics in 2025, because you are having far right-wing people not even realize how tone deaf These propagandists don't even realize that their incompetence, their ignorance, their actions leading to their own demise, and then they have the utmost audacity to scream into social media and say, you know, oh my gosh, this is so obnoxious. I couldn't move. Call the cops. Refund. Punitive damages. Dude wants a refund by ruining his own jacket because he couldn't read a damn sign. Yeah, sorry. No, that's gonna be a hard. That's gonna be a hard pass, honey. So, anyway, I wanted to start off with that. Again, if you're a new viewer in here, please make sure to like the stream. I work really, really hard to bring you this information. I go from lighthearted stuff to more substantive stuff later on. So why don't we transition to the next topic here? I appreciate every single one of you. My moderators do amazing work. I could not do this without them. Something that has recently happened is that our former president, Joe Biden, has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer, his office says. Now, this is no shock. We've seen kind of Biden have moments where he's just suffering from the OLD disease, you know, just being old. And this is partially what led Democrats to then say, all right, we need to replace Joe Biden with a different person for nominee for president, which led to Kamala Harris being elevated to 2024. And look, it's not really a secret because Biden's just been kind of on the decline, and it's really it's sad whenever you see anyone get old. If you have experienced getting to know aging parents or aging grandparents, I mean, it's not easy watching it, you know. And so this recently just happened. There's also been a lot more of like tell-all books coming out about the Biden administration, whatever cover-up there could possibly be. But let me give you some more facts here. Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones, his office said in a statement on Sunday. According to the statement, Biden was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis of the bone. Now, I'm not a medical expert or a doctor or have any of that training, but I'm going to assume that's kind of bad, okay? The statement noted that this is a more aggressive form of the disease. The cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. So this is what Biden posted on his social media. Cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are the strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support. He also posted that on his Instagram. And Donald Trump had an interesting response to this. If you all are familiar with Donald Trump's Truth Social tweets, Truth Social posts, usually they're in the form of, I mean, the requirements are like almost all capitalizations, name calling, you know, run-on sentences. Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. This is not Trump saying that. Like, if you analyze Donald Trump's speeches, if you analyze his posts, there's no way that he actually tweeted or said this. Now, just like with a lot of different public figures, you have people who will work on behalf of the president or on behalf of the senator or on behalf of the House of Representative person that you have, your congressperson. So, I mean, it's very likely that someone took to Truth Social and posted this on behalf of Trump. Because you want to see the typical Trump stuff that we see all the time? It looks like this. Hold on. It looks like this. So don't for a second think that that's actually him saying it. Now, I mean, he could have had Trump may have had the ability to take it down, and he didn't, so I guess I'll give some credit there. And I will say maybe Trump will actually be nice to Joe Biden, because here's my own personal analysis. This is not a fact. I low-key think that Donald Trump has like a love-hate crush on Joe Biden. He talks about him all the time. He really does. He loves and hates Joe Biden. He wanted Joe Biden to go back into the race when Kamala decided to take up the mantle to be the Democratic nominee. He was like, I love Joe Biden. I want Joe Biden. Joe Biden is mine. He's my lover. So anyway, going forward with all of this, I wanted to go and look at how other conservatives or MAGA people were responding. And there was, of course, some people who were supportive, and I'm like, okay, credit where credit is due, you know? Because if this was the other way around and Donald Trump was diagnosed with cancer, you wouldn't see like a whole bunch of like liberals or even leftists screaming. You would see people being like, okay, we can't stand the man, but also like, hope he gets better. The same way that when Donald Trump was, when the first assassination attempt came, the first attempt by Thomas Matthew Crooks was, I believe, his name, you didn't see a whole bunch of Democrats or liberals condoning political violence. Like you said, we don't believe political violence is okay, even if it's towards someone that we can't stand. Now, personally, I can't stand Trump at all. But like, if I'm going to take a principled stand, say I don't like political violence, I can't decide to pick and choose who is on the receiving end of that. Because as soon as it's on the receiving end of someone I would like, that would make me a hypocrite. But also, I am very, very, very certain that many Republicans would literally switch that around if it was the other way. The reason I say all of that is just make sure that you uphold whatever belief and make it consistent. So if this was Donald Trump, I guarantee that there might be some Democrats or leftists that would act that way, but most probably wouldn't. So to give credit to people, there were some conservatives that responded by saying like, we hope him a speedy recovery. But then there were some other ones that I found really telling. There's a lot of bots. As a quick little side, when you go on Donald Trump's Truth Social, there are a lot of bots, robots, that literally will just post or repost and do all of this with just an image, maybe some words, but you'll see that all the time. Now, this guy is not a bot. My theory is that he's actually paid by the Trump campaign or the Trump organization to like post and repost and all of this stuff all day long, because you see like this guy literally has pages and pages of like reposts. Anyway, but in a response to this post, no wait, oh gosh, where'd it go? Jeez Louise, hold on. In a response to this, where they're talking about Joe Biden's, medical diagnosis, having cancer, he posts, where'd it go? Oh my gosh. Why is it on YouTube, all of the different camera roll gets all scrambled? He posts this in response. He says, protect him, always our Lord. And it's like Jesus, the white version of Jesus, having his hand on Trump's shoulder. Like, that's just, imagine if it was the other way around and Trump was diagnosed with some sort of cancer and you were to have someone that says, protect him, always our Lord. And instead, it's the white Jesus putting his hand on Joe Biden. That would just, I was like, huh? That would just be crazy. So why is it acceptable the other way around, Going further, and this is just the kind of mentality that a lot of these far right-wing people have. Now, to give, again, credit where credit is due, there are people that says, I'm 100% a diehard Trump supporter. I wish Biden and his family well. We have the greatest doctors and nurses in the world. I pray God will guide their hand. So I'm like, okay, credit where credit is due. That's all. I'm always about that, okay? But then I see other stuff like this. I am almost convinced that this Women for Trump account is a bot. Because I go through and look at what Donald Trump's Truth Social says, and I see this person, this account, just constantly posting over and over all of these memes, all of these things like this. thinking that it's saying something substantive. But like on a post where apparently Trump says that he's praying for Joe Biden's speedy recovery, this person or bot comments, he's on a mission from God. Nothing can stop what's coming. And it has a picture of Trump. Like, what the actual fuck? So it just shows how much of a cult these people are. Again, put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say that Joe Biden posted something saying, I heard about Trump's diagnosis with cancer. We hope him a speedy recovery. And you had a Democrat or some sort of leftist post, he's on a mission from God, and it's a picture of Joe Biden saying nothing can stop what's coming. MAGA would be furious. They'd be like, what in the world? That's so inappropriate. Then they do it, and it's like, amen. It's heads I win, tails you lose style politics. You can't uphold or have an equal standard of logic. When I see people like that, I'm like, okay, at least they have some principle. At least they have some moral. At least they have something. That person thought I was waving to them when they were getting out of their car. You know, it's so funny. When I do these lives, I'm always in my car. And some people will like move around, and I'll occasionally I occasionally will like look around, and some people think I'm waving at them. They're probably like, what is this kid doing? Anyway. So I give credit where credit is due. I know I say that all the time. But it's not just that person. But this person is like, well, Joe Biden tried to force a vaccine on me while allowing 20 million unvaccinated illegal aliens to invade my country. And basically says, F Joe Biden. Okay. First off, the vaccine was literally meant to protect all of us from a pandemic. So I truly don't understand what you mean by that. Also, you do realize that people have the opportunity to come here to America. It doesn't mean that we can't have strong borders, but we also need to make sure that everyone gets their day in court and has due process. So, also going forward, there were people that posted stuff like this. Again, it's that same account. Over and over. Over and over. It's just... It's wild. It's absolutely wild to me. But then there were also, in responses to Joe Biden's medical diagnosis with cancer, there were also people on the left that also said, so question, when Israel was destroying cancer hospitals with approved weapons by you in Gaza, how do you expect anyone to feel sorry for you? And that's a good question. Like, if you were truly look at the situation of Israel, Palestine, and you look all of that honestly, there have been reports that Joe Biden didn't even try to negotiate a ceasefire. He didn't even try. And we'll see more and more as that unfolds. I would not be surprised if that's the case. Put this in real life. If you are expecting sympathy for your own illness, but then your negligence or your actions cause other people to feel pain or death or hardship, it's kind of tone deaf in that way as well, perhaps. We'll see the more news and information that comes out, but just being fair there. So, this wasn't the only one. Cancer also touched the innocent children of Gaza. You know, the children you have been massacring and destroying, all the hospitals and cancer wards, they need to survive. But hey, I guess your eyes, they aren't human. Now, you could say, well, that's a little bit much. That's a little bit much to then say on a post like that after a recent diagnosis. That's also fair. But it is also fair to point out, you know, your negligence has led to people dying in Gaza, and you didn't do much to stop, you know, this genocide happening, not even trying to engage in ceasefire. And for those people who are like, oh, so you're critiquing Joe Biden, you think Trump would be better? Oh, absolutely not. Trump's worse. Trump's absolutely worse. He wants to literally take all the land of, like, Gaza and make it a resort. Ew. So there were some mixed responses to this. There were also a lot of people that were saying, we hope you get better. And here's my take. Genuinely, I hope that, you know, President Biden heals, or former President Biden heals, because I like to have empathy. And, you know, I care about trying to make sure that people are held accountable, but also safe and healthy. That all being said, the criticisms and the feedback that he's getting are also valid. Like, but also it also shows how unhinged some people are. They'll post pictures of Donald Trump wearing a crown in response to this. So anyway, that's just the current state of American politics in regards to Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis, having cancer. So that is big in the news right now. We'll see more and more as time unfolds. But I want to... There was also this one. I am the chosen one was a response to this kind of announcement. Like, what in the world? What in the world? See, I'm always on the side of empathy. So if I see things that are just unempathetic, I'm like, that's just crazy to me. But also, I mean, if you're throwing something back with karma, that tough love is kind of valid. So anyway, let's shift topics here. Let's talk about another post by this is what Trump's Truth Social posts look like. They don't look like the one that I pointed out of him saying, "Oh, I hope that Joe Biden gets better." I guarantee you that was not him. Like, I guarantee this is not him. Yes, it's on his account, but that's not him. It's probably someone on his staff that did that. Oh, there's a crying baby in the car nearby. Aw. Crying babies make me so sad. Is it just me? Let's shift topics here and let's talk about tariffs. And I am going to turn on my car because my phone is getting hot. My phone is getting hot. Also, if you're new here, please make sure to like the stream. It really does help out the algorithm. I love all of you so much. Even if you hate me, I'm not looking at the comments. I really never do. Make sure that I turn off my Bluetooth. Sorry, I had to make sure that my Bluetooth was off, otherwise my phone might connect to my Bluetooth. What's everyone drinking this morning? I got a coffee. All right. Are we ready for the next segment? Let me briefly look at the chat and see if there's anything. Yeah, there's really nothing. Just a whole bunch of people screaming. Love that. I appreciate every single one of you. Yeah, I am wearing like a referee shirt just because, I don't know, they're comfortable. I'm drinking MAGA tears. I hear you, F Hendo. What's everyone drinking? Cat Mommy says coffee. Cat Mommy, hello! Hello! To all the quiet listeners in here that don't really comment a lot during the live stream, I see you and I love you. Y'all are awesome. Let's talk a little bit about tariffs. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of all the specifics, but let's talk about this recent post by Trump, specifically in regards to the current state of tariffs in the economy. So this was a post recently that happened, I think it was Sunday, where Donald Trump was redirecting his anger and putting it towards Walmart. We gotta love Walmart, okay? I always like to joke that you get walls there. No. Anyway, but he said, let me get out my little hands. Hold on. Let me get out my little hands. He said, Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as if they are the reason for raising prices. Oh wait, no, hold on. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as it is said, eat the tariffs. Eat it, just yum, 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 yummy in your tummy. And not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. Now, I want to break this down. a little bit. First line, Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices. He's admitting something there. What is Trump admitting? Trump himself is admitting that tariffs raise prices, but also that prices are going up. He's saying it right there. So was Donald Trump lying when he said it wasn't going to raise prices? Or is he lying now? No matter what, it's inconsistent, hypocritical, but also shows what a lying narcissist Trump really is. He says, Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices. Implicit and assumed in that statement is that prices are going up. So he's kind of giving away the game here. He knows that tariffs raise prices. He knows that prices are going up. And now, let me give you a little bit of a breakdown here. Again, Trump is admitting that prices are going up. Trump contradicts himself because he originally said, and this is important, in the past on the campaign trail, he said that foreign countries pay the tariffs. That is objectively wrong. Foreign countries do not pay the tariffs. They don't. A tariff is a self-imposed tax on the country that brings in the goods. So if we, as the United States, if we put a tariff on China, American businesses that buy products made in China pay the tariff to the Customs and Border Patrol. That's how a tariff works. Foreign countries do not pay the tariffs. They might pay the tariffs if there is a tariff imposed on their own country, but that's only if they do it that way. So, again, it's Trump is admitting that he knows prices are going up, and he's also admitting that tariffs raise prices. And also, if foreign countries paid the tariffs, then why would Walmart have to eat the costs, eat the tariffs? So, it leads me to question, is Donald Trump, was he lying then, or is he lying now? And a lot of other people also on social media were pointing out this obvious hypocrisy and contradiction. It's so obvious. So, before I even show you that, during his presidency, Donald Trump frequently stated that other countries pay tariffs imposed by the United States. This assertion, however, is not supported by economic consensus or empirical evidence. So that was the AI overview, but let me give you some specifics. In an interview recently, reporter, tariffs are paid by American importers and consumers. Trump, no, they are. They are paid by the country. They're paid by the country. He knows he's lying. During the campaign, he says Trump almost daily before the election said that Americans don't pay the tariffs. The other country does. The other country does. He just objectively said over and over that we don't pay the tariffs. I cannot tell you how, when I did my live streams on TikTok, I had discussions with people that believed that they're like, oh, we don't pay the tariff. We don't pay the tariff. Yes, we objectively do. A tariff is a self-imposed tax. That's how it works. If Belgium wants to stop relying on products made in France, they might put a tariff on Belgium might put a tariff on itself in order to then make imported goods cost more. That's how tariffs work. But at what cost? The cost is that it makes it more expensive for imported goods to come in, and those companies that buy imported goods are going to pass those costs on to consumers. That's how a tariff works. Now, in the long run, maybe it might bring back some domestic manufacturing, but at what cost? And are those the kind of jobs that you want? The lower income kind of manufacturing jobs. There are certain jobs that are never going to come back to the United States because thankfully we have a higher standard of living than some other countries. It makes it really, really tough to bring back those lower income jobs because of the way that business goes about functioning. That being said, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. It doesn't mean that we don't need to bring American manufacturing back. It's good to objectively do that, to have a strong domestic manufacturing base. Though it is hard to make an ask of Apple, like, you know, Apple makes all of our devices. If they are having very, very cheap labor in China, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, or any other countries that can pay their workers so little to do the work, whereas if you come over here in America, because we have a higher standard of living, having to pay a higher price for labor, those countries are not going to like that, because then they're going to have to eat the cost, and they're not going to like it. It's going to go into their stock. It's going to cut into their profit margins, which you could say, yeah, they're being greedy. 100% they're being greedy. But like asking corporations not to follow what's in their financial best interest is never going to go well for you, because they're going to do whatever they want anyway. That's why you have to make them. That all being said, I hope people are following along with that. That all being said, Donald Trump objectively was like, yeah, other countries pay the tariffs. No, they don't. We pay the tariffs. We pay them. If we are importing goods from China, we will pay higher prices for the imported goods. That's how a tariff works. In theory. In practice, what it does is it just raises the threshold for what is a normal price when it comes to goods. Because other countries then put a tariff back on us. And it leads to a trade war, which is what we're currently experiencing. So, it's really, really noteworthy when Trump posts something like this. Because he's admitting that tariffs raise prices. He's admitting that prices are going up. And also, it contradicts him saying, oh, well, the other countries, the foreign countries, they pay the tariff. If foreign countries, if China paid the tariff, then why would Walmart have to eat the cost? Why? It wouldn't make sense. So that makes me ask the question, was Donald Trump lying on the campaign trail? Or is he lying now? Or maybe does he just contradict himself constantly over and over and over, and his far right-wing MAGA base constantly try to cover for him, pulling a whole bunch of muscles trying to stretch to whatever pretzel logic that they got. So, and it wasn't just me that was like highlighting this hypocrisy. It was very, very frequent on social media. Let me show you here. Why would Trump tell Walmart to eat the tariffs after he said the tariffs are being paid by other countries? And I'm going to take this, and we're going to use this as an example to then get to something else here. This was a response from this post here. This America First Patriot says, we all knew tariffs are paid by us. We just love to hear y'all bitch and scream. This is a very, very common perception, very common attitude or approach from MAGA. They like, oh, we know Donald Trump is lying. We know what he's saying is crap. We just like to see liberal tears. We just like to see you all panic, moan, and bitch, and scream. Okay? You would rather make other people worried about the current state of the economy. Oh, he's cute. Hello. Sorry, I got distracted by a cute guy. You would rather sabotage your own economy to make liberals cry or to make leftists cry than actually do policy that makes us stay afloat, do all right, not suffer. And like, he then goes on to say, this post legitimately proves how angry you liberals can get. This person then responds, this is legitimately one of the dumbest, most low IQ things I've ever heard. How do you guys manage to live like this and not feel ashamed or embarrassed? And then there was one person that commented something that was that really hit. It really hit. And I encourage you to take a screenshot when I'm doing this, okay? I encourage you to take a screenshot. This person posted, this is you. Let me get a close up. Also, if you're enjoying the live, please make sure to send some likes. I work really, really hard. This person says, so there's two people in a boat. The one guy has a gun, the guy with the white has a gun, And basically, there's the other guy sitting in there. The guy with the gun shoots the boat, and the guy that's sitting down says, "What are you doing?" The guy with the gun says, "Sinking your libtard boat." And the person sitting down was like, "We're both in the boat, you idiot." And then the person with the gun is like, "Haha, LOL, you're so triggered right now." Then says, "Go cry about it. You love, what is it? You have boat derangement syndrome. It's just a joke." And as he sinks into the water. This is very much, feel free to take a screenshot. This is very much MAGA when it comes to economics, tariffs, and the economy. A lot of people on the left, or just a lot of people just in general, are like, these tariffs are going to be bad for our economy. It's going to be bad for our economy. There's going to see a lot of pain in the form of higher prices that are going to affect low-income communities, and sorry, I'm going to be woke here, communities of color that tend to be disproportionately low income, as well as other very, very marginalized groups, including women, LGBTQ people, or veterans, or people who have disabilities. So it's going to affect everyone. Everyone. It's going to affect low-income people the most. But that all being said, there are these people that respond like this. "We all knew the tariffs were paid by us. We just like to see y'all bitch and scream." And then says, "Look how upset you're getting." People are trying to say, look, this is bad policy. This is not good when it comes to our country. This is not going to be good for any of us. Regardless of our race, regardless of our party affiliation, regardless of our sexual orientation, regardless of what state we live in or where we come from, or if we like pizza or not. This is the thing. Many MAGA people see this as just a petty little game. Sorry, many people don't view it as a game to make other people cry or to worship people. It's not a game. It's not team sports. Take off the jersey. I know I'm wearing like a referee shirt. Take off the jersey of a political party that just goes along with whatever and think critically for yourself. When you look at the tariffs, what they do is objectively raise prices. Are you really going to be like, ha 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 ha, you're so in pain? Dude, care about more than trying to make other people upset, and care about the collective ship that is America to make sure that we actually get to our destination instead of sink. And that's what really comes down to it. There are so many people in this country that don't care if they cause chaos as long as they make other people cry. And then they have the audacity to call themselves Christian. They have the audacity to be like, "Oh, Jesus loves me." The hypocrisy is like the brand. It's just astounding to me. So, again, if you didn't get the screenshot, here you go. Whoever posted that, the utmost credit to you. Actually, it was Houston Austin Muzam Hindo on X, formerly known as Twitter. And it really just gets to the crux of this moment, in my view. Now, going forward, this other person said, "Nah, you people definitely said the other countries would pay. Now that you got proved wrong, as always, you said you knew all along, just like with inflation." This person, I'm not going to read this out loud, and you shouldn't use this word ever, okay? We don't use this word, okay? Though they make a point. You'd rather see the party you oppose get upset than actually see the country go in a direction that doesn't result in direct hardship for the majority of Americans. And that's so true. Like, this post literally makes no sense. Also, I thought that Trump was America first. Also, Trump said the tariffs were going to be paid by foreign countries. Are you saying he lied to MAGA? So, it really gets to the crux of where we are when this is very emblematic of our political discourse right now. MAGA is a lot like this guy in the white shirt. We are in the boat of America, trying to make sure that we sail to our destination, achieve policy that helps everyone, not just benefits certain groups of people. And You decide, instead of focusing on getting to the destination, doing policy that helps people, you're like, I'm just going to make this person upset. I'm just going to F with them. Look, there are things where you can joke around and have fun and do that kind of stuff with, but when it comes to policies that physically change government and affect how people live their lives, how they can put food on the table, how they can afford their health care, or how their kids go to school safely, there are things that you just don't mess with. There are things, like, as someone who jokes a lot, there are things that you joke about, there are things that you don't. When it comes to something like this is not something that's okay to joke with. If you're trying to mess with someone, you don't literally cause harm to them unless you're an absolute psychopath. Which, anyway. That all being said, politics is too serious of a thing to mess with or sabotage for the purpose of upsetting people. Yet this is exactly what the cult of MAGA is doing. And guess what? I'm saying that as someone who's raised MAGA himself. I was raised into a very Christian, conservative Southern family that had Fox News on, like, all the time. I had a subscription to Sean Hannity. Yes, me, in high school. I'm saying it as someone who was a part of that mentality. It's all rooted in trying to sabotage and make other people upset. Even if it makes you worse off, they're like, ha ha ha, I see you getting mad. Sorry, I care more about the collective policy of making sure that we all thrive, we all actually hold leadership accountable, instead of playing these petty games. Sorry, I'm not interested in that. I care about the benefit of everyone, not just the wealthy or the privileged. This is too serious for us to mess with. Sinking our own boat is not going to do anything. So, now I want to give a little bit of an update when it comes to the tariffs. Also, again, if you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to like the stream. It really does help. Shout out to my amazing moderators in here: Cherie, Akicha, Ilisa, y'all are incredible. Ellie, y'all are just so amazing. Joanna Tech, Jenny, Kate. I could not do any of this without you all. I could not do any of this without you all. So, did I miss anyone? Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. Yeah, I got Joanna Tech. And also all of my subscribers and good friends in here. Aw, Cat Mommy, thank you. So let me just give you a little bit of an update when it comes to the tariffs here. So it is not surprising that there was another pause when it came to the tariffs on China. So Donald Trump has done this thing where he just threw out tariffs to every single country, including even territories that don't even actually have people in them, like the Heard of MacDonald Islands, which are an affiliate territory of Australia, which literally only have penguins on them. You all remember that? That's so funny. Anyway, so the US and China agreed to do another pause on the tariffs while they negotiate. So Donald Trump is like throwing tariffs out to every single country and then is saying, what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? And many countries are like, nothing, dude. We're just not going to trade with you. You put walls up around your country, you don't want to be disturbed. The way that Donald Trump functions is he tries to bait people into doing what he wants. And like, when it comes to these countries, when it comes to their global economy, they're not going to want to play ball if you're going to be obnoxious. Donald Trump putting up a tariff around the whole, like, tariffs around the US, other countries are like, fine, we don't need to trade with the United States, we'll just go somewhere else. And that's happening to a lot of countries. They're all like, look at America over there, they're being wild, so let's just not engage with them. So right now we're seeing the US and China currently have a pause on tariffs. And their US and China agree to slash tariffs for 90 days as trade talks continue. Let me take a sip of my coffee and then we'll fully dive in. So it was announced that the United States and China are going to pause tariffs for another 90 days. The world's two biggest economies agreed to a temporary rollback of most of the recent levies and negotiating in Switzerland over the weekend. So I don't know if that was this weekend or I think it was last weekend. So currently tariffs are paused when it comes to China. But this is only a 90-day pause. We've seen pauses before, so it's not surprising that something like this would happen, but we'll see where it goes. The United States and China announced a 90-day pause for most of their tariffs on each other. The combined U.S. tariff rate on Chinese imports will be cut to 30% from 145%, while China's levies on U.S. products will fall to 10% from 125%, the country said early Monday morning. This was last Monday. And what's also interesting in this ongoing tariff situation is that because there's this pause, there's also been a huge surge in the United States ordering products from China. Temporarily. So U.S. companies surged shipments from China following the tariff pause. Freight bookings out of China increased nearly 300% this week compared to the week earlier, soaring to the highest levels of the year. So Donald Trump paused some of his tariffs, creating a surge in demand that could lead to supply chain bottlenecks. Freight bookings out of China increased nearly 300% compared to the week earlier. And with all of this being said, these tariff pauses are only acting as a response to the ongoing shooting yourself in the foot of doing the tariffs in the first place. So this isn't like a huge win for our economy. This is just like these people who are American businesses being like, crap, we just need to try and get everything in that we can before tariffs really like drive home. And this is what the forecast is supposed to look like with these tariffs on China. You're seeing there's two different parts here. This is from Statista. They do really good work, data science, statistics analysis. What you are seeing is on the left side, you see the percent charge imports from China to the United States. This is the percent change on the right to change exports to the US. So this is what China is then exporting to other countries. So percent change imports from China. You're seeing that the United States is not estimated to be growing imports from China. Barely, it's actually going to be way less at negative 77%. The United States is set to be importing more from LDCs, which I don't know what that actually stands for, and CIS in Asia, excluding China. But we're going to be importing from these areas, not China at all. That's what the forecast is showing. So right now there's this temporary pause that is happening, and there's all of these American companies that are like, oh my God, there's pauses on tariffs. We got to order everything now that we can. Because there have been estimates that shelves were going to be empty if this tariff pause didn't go through. So right now the economy is really up in the air. It's really up in the air. I would encourage everyone personally. I've been trying to buy some things in bulk. I know not everyone has the income to be able to do that, though there's a lot of uncertainty that's coming along with the economy right now, especially with these tariffs, because what a tariff does is it's an artificial price hike when it comes to goods coming from outside the United States. It basically, it raises the acceptable price. It raises the threshold for what is a normal price on goods. Companies swallow the tariffs or eat the tariffs, but then they often pass it on to consumers. Again, going back to Donald Trump's Walmart eat your tariffs post. Where is it? Hold on. So, where did it go? Hold on. Like, other foreign countries don't pay the tariffs. We pay the tariffs. But when I say we, the American taxpayers pay it. There was actually one comment that I didn't even get to that actually I really want to show really quickly. There was one person that commented saying like, yeah, we knew that this was going to be the case. We knew that the tariffs would, be really tough. We were just totally okay with it. We don't care. We voted for everything happening. There's a willingness to trust the process. So if prices have to go up before things balance out, then so be it. It's just the incompetence. Anyway, I also need to take a break because I've been live for over an hour, and I just need a breather. So anyway, shout out to all of you. I appreciate every single one of you so much. And it's just, I can't thank you all and appreciate you all enough. I'm going to be posting a lot more today in particular. So just be on the lookout for content. I'm probably going to take clips from the live stream and break it down into chunks. So if you missed part of the live stream, I'm going to be posting chunks of the stream, but edited without all of the and, if, but, so, like, things that I sometimes say. So I appreciate every single one of you. Someone said, don't please. You know, you could just scroll on, honey. You don't like what you see? Then just scroll on. Also, thank you all for being patient with my very, very rude pimple on my forehead, not paying rent, yet obviously is still here. You were a hero of truth. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Cat Mommy. Shout out to my amazing moderators in here. I couldn't do this without you all. I love all of my people who have contributed to the channel, joined the channel. Y'all are awesome. I'm still trying to build up the platform. I'm coming over from TikTok still. TikTok is so sad. I literally posted something on TikTok yesterday. It's so sad. It's gone so downhill. So shout out to my amazing moderators. Akicha, you're awesome. If someone painted my $12,000 jacket, I'd call the cops too, LOL. Well, respectfully, Sage, no one painted his jacket. He leaned up against a light pole while not even seeing the wet paint sign due to his own incompetence, then took to social media to say how expensive the jacket was during a time where people can't barely pay for anything, being super tone deaf. And then also says, I want a refund, call the cops. No one sabotaged his jacket intentionally. Yeah, that's what yeah. So, just wanted to make sure. Go and check out my latest video with that. The Help Police. Yeah. Go and check out that video. I appreciate every single one of you. You're like, oh, he's an idiot. Anyway, I love all of you. Shout out to my amazing moderators. Akicha, Cherie, I love all of you. Ellie, Joanna Tech, Jenny, Elisa. I couldn't do any of this without you all. Kate. Let's see, am I missing anyone? I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. So, anyway, I love you all so much. Be on the lookout for new content. Please go and check it out. And just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved. You are valid. You are strong. And you are fierce. Oh, and Juega. I was WCS dancer on TT. Oh my gosh. Hello. I'm glad you're here. Don't let anyone. Oh, Ginger Monster, love you. I'm seeing everyone in here. Oh, all the good vibes. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. And shout out to all the people who have joined the channel and are supporting my work. So, y'all are incredible. Just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye! Oh, thank you, MF Hendo. Bye!